22 is graphs. So we're going to look at some different graphs today, and what the different types of graph highlight or make it easier to see. So the first type we're going to look at is a double bar graph. So in this example, this is comparing the number of sandwich shops that Sal and Harry each have, how many they owned at the end of each year. And they ask us what conclusions can be made from the graph. So with a double bar graph, this is a great type of graph for comparing two different things. Like as we see here, we're comparing the number of delis that Sal and Harry each own. So, a few conclusions that we can draw from this. First, again, light blue is Sal, dark blue is Harry. Every year, with the exception of 2004 when they both owned 14, but every year the number of delis that Harry owned was greater than the number of delis that Sal owned. Now, if you look at the trend as well, something you can see, again, for comparing the two, double bar graph is good for that. So Harry always has more than Sal except for 2004 where they have an equal number. You can also see the amount of delis that Harry owns grows every year, as opposed to Sal, who grows until 2004 and then begins to decrease. But those are just a few things you can glean from double bar graph. As we said, I think the thing that's highlighted here, hopefully you can see, is the comparison of one to another. When they'll line the two up right next to each other, it's easy to compare one amount to the other. In this case, Harry and Sal, but could be all sorts of things. Second type of graph we're going to look at today is the stem and leaf plot. So the thing a stem and leaf plot is very useful for is organizing data. So in a sense, it arranges it from least to greatest and kind of organizes it in clusters a little bit. As we can see in this stem and leaf chart, it is the age of hiking club members. So everybody in the 10s, everybody in the 20s, everybody in the 30s, 40s, and 50s. So it kind of gives you an idea of how the data is dispersed, as well as organizing it in a least to greatest fashion. So they ask us in this example to find the age of members at the hiking club that occurs most often. So hopefully you recognize that as finding the mode, the most often occurring number in a set of data. So we have this set of data. Our ages are as follows. Make sure you understand how to read this. Like we said, 1 means 10, 2 means 20 in this case. They give you a key down here. So a 1 and a 7 means 17. A 2 and a 4 means 24. So our ages are 10, 10, 17, 24, 26, 32, 33, 34, 41, 41, 41, 43, and 53, 56, 56, and 59. So hopefully it's easiest to, and really you don't even have to list them out in this fashion as I did, but hopefully it's easy to see when you look at the information organized this way. The most often occurring number here is 41. There are 3 41s. There's a couple 56s, a couple 10s, but 41 is the age that occurs most often. Another thing that this makes it easy to do, even though we aren't asked to do so, is find the median. Because before we find the median, if you recall that, we have to arrange them from least to greatest, and then we find the one that is middlemost. So stem and leaf plot helps you to find the median, makes it easier to find the median. It also, in some sense, helps with finding the mean. It makes it easy to count how many there are, so you at least know the number of numbers and how many you therefore divide by. So again, stem and leaf plot helps you to organize the data. The third type of graph we'll look at is a double line graph. So what line graphs allow for is it makes it easy to notice the trends in a set of data over time. And we kind of could see that in the double bar graph as well. This is the same data, it says here, same data as we saw in the double bar graph, but I think this highlights a little better. First, if you look at the number of shops Harry owns, it grows over time and grows consistently over time. You know, it's a nice straight line there. So consistent growth across the years of 2001 to 2006, as compared to Sal's, who grows from 2001 to 2004 and then begins to decline. And even as you can see, it grows at a more rapid rate, the curve, more rapid rate than Harry's did. And as we pointed out previously, in 2004 they had the same number, but in every other year, Harry had more delis than Sal. So again, double line graph allows you to notice trends in data over time more easily. And the last type of graph we're going to look at today is, the book calls it a circle graph. Sometimes you'll hear it called a pie chart. But usually type of graph that breaks different amounts down into percentages allows you to compare parts of the pie chart to the whole part. So this circle represents all of the data, and the different slices here represent, in this case, different quarters of the year, but certainly could represent other things. They tell us in example 5, it shows the yearly sales broken down by quarter, hence 4 parts. Total amount of sales for the year was 20 million. Find the sales for each quarter. So we want to find the amount sold each quarter. It tells us here, maybe hard to read, in the first quarter was 12% of their sales. So the total sales is 20 million. First quarter they sold only 12% of that 20 million. To find the first quarter sales, we want to take 12% times 20 million. Before we can multiply, we need to convert 12% to a decimal. So that would be 12 hundredths, and then multiply that by 20 million, which I believe should give us $2,400,000. For the second quarter, that was 32% of sales. So again, convert it to a decimal, 32 hundredths times 20 million. And we should get $6,400,000. In the third quarter, that was 13% of sales. So we want to take 13 hundredths times 20 million, which gives us $2,600,000. 600,000. And a big fourth quarter, 43%. So 43 hundredths times 20 million. Gives us 8,600,000. Alright, so first, second, third, fourth quarter sales. What's a way to check yourself on this? When you add these four together, they should equal 20 million. So make sure you understand, you know the different types of graphs. We talked about bar, double bar, stem and leaf, line or double line, and circle graph. Make sure you know which is which, you understand the difference between them, and you understand what they're trying to show. So again, double bar graph allows us to compare two things a little more easily. Stem and leaf helps us to organize data. Line graphs help us to see trends over time. And circle graphs allow us to compare a part of the data to all of the data, a part to the whole.